Welcome back to another episode of the New Jersey High School Strength Coach Podcast. My name's Zach Evnesh. I'm with my buddy and my partner, Paul Kolody, strength coach at 100 Central High School. Paul and I we're the state directors for the National High School Strength Coaches Association. And we wanted to bring up a topic that, even though it's a new incident, it's not something that is new in New Jersey. And we want to cover it and talk. We also want to preface that even though we are co-state directors of National High School Strength Coach Association, our opinions and this conversation does not reflect the opinions from NHS SCA. We're just talking from our own experiences and what we have seen to work for the benefit of the kids. That's what we're going to talk about. So, Paul, lead us off with what happened up in North Jersey to a football coach, and then we're going to get into it.
Well, I think you sent me an anonymous. It was from someone on social media, and the headline is pretty straightforward. It says New Jersey football coach was fired for wanting players to work out in the off season. Now, again, we don't know a whole lot of details, what happened at the school, what happened during the season, but to me, that headline is disturbing as a strength coach in New Jersey that we're trying to do our job and do the best for the kids. Period. End of story. And for doing that, we get kind of, not crapped on, but to me, it's disturbing. That's all I can say.
Right. So I've said this: if you're going to sign up for a sport, and all sports in high school are voluntary, um, each kind of person has to understand the responsibility, the accountability, and what comes with signing up for those sports. So, sports to me, such as football, wrestling, sports where athletes are known to have broken bones, torn ligaments, dislocated shoulders. We've seen football players get paralyzed, broken backs. We've seen some very serious injuries in the realm of football. And so, what happened at this school, and we're reading, if you see me looking down, I'm reading the article from NJ.com, and we did reach out to the journalist, the writer, Luis Torres. He has not responded. But basically, it says a football coach at a small Bergen County school was fired last week because he was told by administration, your expectations are too high for a Group 1 program. And the coach was kind of blindsided by this because he said when he was interviewed, he said part of being building this football program is the off-season weightlifting program, which is a strength and conditioning program. And the team was 4-4-1, small school. His coaching staff, I believe, was quite experienced. He brought on football coaches that had 10 plus years experience, maybe even more than 15 plus years. And then when the season ended, he basically he must have had a meeting, I'm assuming, and said to the kids, "Hey, we're going to be doing this off-season program. We don't know the details of it, how frequent it was, how often it was going to be." But in this article, the coach says that he laid out the plan for the workout program, and he was stunned with their decision that parents complained that he had this off-season program, and administration said, "Hey, man, you should maybe take this idea of off-season training, and you should go to a Group 4 school. You have these high expectations. You should go to a private school." And it even says that Coach Cleary said he was bringing in a strength coach, which shows that he was looking for expert coaching outside of his realm. He said, "Hey, I'm a football coach. That's my expertise. I'm going to bring in an expert strength and conditioning coach." Strength and conditioning has a million certifications. We don't know, exactly what that person's background was, but long story short, football is a dangerous sport, known for the injuries. And when I did a kind of a spreadsheet on the injuries from our football players, I basically did this injury grade, type of injury, what grade they're in, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then it said trained in the off season. Yes, no, barely. Trained in the preseason, which is like the 3 months before the season, which is summertime. Yes, no, barely. You'd be amazed at how many kids skip those workouts, and then trained in season.
No, not
Some
me.
kids Some kids will go to the athletic trainer and skip strength training. 90% of the injuries came from the football players who were skipping or had a barely attendance. And we always say strength training does not eliminate or prevent injury, but it reduces chances of injury. But when you're in football, there's always high rate of injury. And so you and I spoke about this coach took the responsibility to protect the kids. This is crucial. This is number one. I'm saying that as a father of kids who are in athletics. I always say to the sport coach, what would you do for your own child? And if you don't have kids, make pretend you have kids. I want you to train and treat my kids, the same as you would treat your own. And as somebody who's been in education, I've been in education since the mid 90s. We never took an oath, but I believe there is an oath. It's like a silent oath, in my opinion, that you must do what is best for the kids. And here's the bottom line. If somebody's going to play football, they need to be in the weight room. They need
Yeah.
strength training. They must build muscle, which builds body armor. And so let's break down, Paul. Let's talk about administrative support. We saw right here that they told him, hey, man, we don't really think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a very one-sided article because there was no quotes from the administration, but one of the paragraphs had that administration said they did not want me pressuring the boys to work out. And what pressure is that? I mean, I have a saying that's in the weight room. It says, if you're interested, you'll find a way. If you're not, you'll find an excuse. That's not pressure. That's wanting to win. That's again wanting to build your body and outperform yourself from the following year and staying healthy. The weight room does a lot more than just lifting weights. We talk about nutrition all the time. We talk about sleep. We talk about how to recover. So to me, that's not pressure. That's just like any other class. I mean, is there pressure in math when you have to have a big exam or you have to have a test that you have to study or not wait till the last minute to get your work done? Well, this is getting your work done 2 to 3 days a week to get better for that next season. And with a small school, they rely on kids to play other sports, but if they're not playing another sport, we're probably talking about a small amount of kids, 15 kids at the most to be in the weight room. To me, that's not a big ask.
No. And so we look at, I'm going to talk here two-sided side as a parent with two high school kids in
Mhm.
athletics, and then the strength coach. So I tell my kids, if you're going to compete in this sport, you have an obligation to show up as best prepared as possible. That means you must do work in the off season. You can't show up unprepared. Now you're making the job of the coach more difficult because now that coach needs to spend extra time on you because you chose not to show up prepared. Number one. Number two, you need to be a great teammate. And the way to be a great teammate is to show up prepared so you could make others better and you could be a great practice partner. And then we also have the not just the accountability and the responsibility on the athlete, the accountability and responsibility of the coaches. So we only are getting what we're seeing from the newspaper. We don't have any quotes from administration, but it's a little bit scary that the two things that were said, and maybe this is the way of the news, is it's always got to be polarizing, was that some parents said, hey, he's unapproachable, but he said, I can't really discuss a game or off-season training during the game time, but he said he was available for discussion outside of practice. And my concern is when parents don't like something, that's it. That coach or that teacher is fired. He or she is out, whatever that sport is. When I really like what this coach was doing, he was really doing to me what I would say a first grader could tell you if you said to little Johnny or little Susie, hey, I'm going to enter a sport where people are sometimes running 15 to 18 miles an hour crashing into me. And sometimes I get tackled, and sometimes they grab my head, and sometimes they tackle me by the knees, and three or four other people pile up on me. Should I be strong or should I be weak? And the reality here is a first grader would say, oh, you should get strong. And how do we achieve a great sports season? Well, we have a great, consistent off season. Just like how do I do good on the exam? I study. And if you didn't study, because you chose not to study. We don't fire the teacher because Johnny or Jenny chose not to study. And so when a young man in football is signing up for sport, he's got a responsibility. Mom and dad have a responsibility with stocking the fridge with nutrition and understanding that there must be work in the 9 months leading up to the 3 month season.
Absolutely. And that should be the standard for anyone. And part of what we were chatting about today was if you have standards and they're clear to the administration and to the community, that most of the time people will find a way to get their son or daughter to those workouts so that they understand that, okay, well, my kid's going to get better working together with a qualified strength coach. And it did say that he was starting to work with a strength coach,
Correct.
which so to me, if he's qualified and they're certified, they're going to put together a good program. And even if it's not the best program, consistency always wins. So if they're consistent with what they're doing, chances are they're going to get better. They're going to get faster, more explosive. They're going to be more durable. And you say it all the time, and so do I. The best of ability is their availability. So if they're not hurt, they're not always beat up, they're going to be playing and getting better.
I'm reading through the article, scrolling through it on my phone as I look down, and I thought it was interesting that they're saying we don't want to. Administration said they did not want me to be pressuring the boys to work out. Let me explain something, and I think I'm hammering this point home quite aggressively. Football comes with pressure, and I'm going to tell you why. We know football players that have been paralyzed from the sport. So there is a lot of danger. So, as a strength coach, when I am on the sideline of a football game or any competitive event, I need to know that I did everything I could to protect that athlete. And when parents are complaining about basic strength training, which is the most like common sense thing to do, to me, those parents are actually putting their kid in harm's way.
Yeah.
And really, if these kids are in other sports, which usually when we look at a group one school, we have a lot of multi-sport athletes, which we love, you still need to find time for strength training. And so what administration needs to do, which is what you and I have spoken about at the state athletic directors conference several years in a row. We've been in strength and conditioning, you and I, since the 90s, so it's not new to us. But nobody out there who's succeeding is saying strength training is bad. There is not one person saying that. And what we've been trying to get New Jersey on board with is if we look at Indiana, Georgia, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Iowa, even schools in Florida, public schools, they do athletic block, which means if you are in a sport, you actually do have mandatory strength training. And I think in New Jersey, we have gotten so sensitive when somebody says you have to do this that we cry, we complain, and we blame. When what we need to do is really get it. We really need to accept the fact that this is part of the process of somebody trying to protect your son or daughter in sports. But here in particular, that anybody would argue against a strength training program for football is crazy. I tell the kids, my number one job is to protect you. I can't protect you if you're not showing up. I can't protect you if you're fooling around in the weight room. So you're here, but you're not doing the work. I can't protect you if you're inconsistent. So there is a massive accountability and responsibility on the athlete. And I do believe it starts at home. So mom and dad need to say, okay, you're on the football team. We know that all summer long you'll be doing these practices. We know all throughout the school year you'll be in the weight room probably 3 days a week. And guess what? There's been times where I've trained football teams 4 days a week.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think that's too much. That's too much. Well, if you have a high school son, then you're probably about our age, late 40s, early 50s. Do you remember riding your bike 12 hours a day? The world didn't end. You didn't have to go to the
Yeah.
chiropractor, the physical therapist. The thing was that when we were younger, we were fit, we were in shape. And what's happening now is we're seeing injuries before scrimmages even start. Kids are getting hurt from practice. Practice is actually not harder, it's easier. There's water breaks every 15 minutes. They start them off super slow. Um, not long ago. What was it? I don't know. When did they end the two-a-day workouts, Paul? 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was part of the N when the NCAA came up with it. And I think it was a great thing. A lot of stuff was happening in the NCAA. So not just New Jersey, but I think every high school in the country
Yep.
adopted that policy as well. And
It was the early 2000s, about 20 years ago,
yeah,
maybe?
yeah,
Okay.
it was
So
before I got to my school.
right. So we have all these safety precautions. This football coach is seeking out an expert strength coach to at least help him run the program. And they had a great opportunity. Administration had a great opportunity. And again, we're really emphasizing we don't know the whole story. We're saying we're getting quotes from this article. We don't see any information administration was tried to reach out to. But Paul and I will be speaking again at the State Athletic Directors Conference. And we're going to be talking about the state of the union, meaning New Jersey needs to start implementing strength and conditioning during the day, during high school, not just because it's so important, but kids today, okay, you got a job, that's normal. But what about all these club sports these kids are doing? They are so busy. And I'd like to say this. I say it a lot, but this could be a new audience. I have never seen athletes do so much stuff. This club, that club, speed coach, strength coach, PT, chiropractor, yet achieve so little in return. And
Yeah.
the issue is there's just not concentrated effort. And, a kid might say, you know what? I don't lift at school. I go to my private guy. Well, I've had a private strength and conditioning facility since 2002. And what I always do is I tell my team, we never tell the kid to not do what's done at school. We say, when you come in, communicate with us. What did you do at school? And we could fill in some of the missing links, missing gaps. We'll fill in those gaps to help complete the program. But
Mhm.
this school is a group one, and we're probably looking at 15 to 20 kids in a weight room. You and I
Max.
have 50 to 80 kids in a weight room. This right here was a massive opportunity for them to really support this football coach who was trying to do the right thing for the kids. And guess what? It involves hard work,
Mhm.
commitment, and consistency, not just for the 3 months or 2.5 months of the season, and not just for this year. It's actually years of work because I'll be in a group and there might be a junior and he weighs 175 and I say, "What did you weigh freshman year?" I weighed 125. So you gained 50 pounds in 2 years. That sounds amazing. That's massive. That's 1 pound a month.
Mhm.
These kids need to play the long game.
Yep.
Parents, if you got your kids in football, wrestling, soccer, lacrosse, even basketball, these are contact sports, your son or daughter must be in strength training. And in my opinion, my professional expert opinion, over a quarter century of doing this, if you play football, strength training should be mandatory. Period. End of story. You and I know of a school in New Jersey. You do not get your helmet in August if you did not accumulate 75 strength and conditioning workouts with your high school team. Not 25 with the high school, 50
Hmm.
on your own, 25 at Planet Fitness, Retro Fitness, 25 with my private coach. Nope. You're training with your team. You're doing the team, what's
Yep.
given to you at school. And that school does strength and conditioning periods 1 through 6. It's available to the kids all day. And so in New Jersey, I think you and Coach Johansson and Mascon, the only strength coaches who are not PE certified. New Jersey is still stuck on you got to be PE certified. They don't really teach strength and conditioning in physical education. They do not. You need to be mentored and be in it. And
Yep.
Paul, you and I have coached. You've been uh, college level, minor league baseball, high school, private sector. I've been at Rutgers, Lehigh, private sector for 20 plus years now. We have seen this. What we're seeing here from what we're reading, they are in the wrong by saying you should take those ideals. Commitment should just be at a bigger school. Like if
Yeah.
you're in a, so if I'm in a, so if I'm in a small school, there's no commitment. I don't train. It's like saying I'm a small business owner. I don't treat my customers well because I have a small private gym and it's not a big, chain. It's not Orange Theory, so we don't treat people. Hey, I'm a small business. I don't treat you that well. The standard needs to be excellence. Period. End of story. And if you're a coach, your number one job is to protect the athlete. And how do you do it? Get them stronger, faster, more confident, build body armor. All four of those things happen in the weight room. They
Yeah.
don't happen at the local gym where kids say, I'm doing my own program and they're on their phone in between every set and on machines. Machines don't have transfer to football. They do not. You actually need
Yeah.
to become a machine. And so,
Yeah.
from
And
what
we're
we
running out of
see,
time.
yep,
We're running out of time,
let's
but
close it out.
you hit it on the head that you're so they're telling me because it said that group four or parochial that because there's 2,000 kids at a school versus 350 that those three kids that 350 don't have goals they shouldn't have discipline they shouldn't be able to handle pressure and move around obstacles they shouldn't have teamwork with their teammates I grew up in a blue collar town small just like that 100 kids per and we did everything together. We worked together. If we didn't, our school and our team suffered. And to make that statement that, well, this ideal should only be at a bigger school, that to me, that's ridiculous.
What are we teaching the kids? We say, "Hey, you're about to work hard. Let's fire the coach and let's come up with excuses.
Mhm.
Tell me how forget football. Tell me what that's going to do for life. Hey boss, you're working me too hard. I'm firing you. I'm complaining about you. Hard work is the gift. If you play football, you need to be strong and you need to put on body armor. There's no two ways about it. I'll stand in front of thousands of people and say it. And we don't know the whole story. We keep saying that. We didn't see it. But from what the journalist wrote, this it seems to be like this football coach was supposed to be mediocre to be celebrated, and then he would have kept his job.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. So,
Hey,
New
can they leave
Jersey, yep,
comments? Can they leave
you can
comments
leave
on YouTube?
could leave
Let's
comments on YouTube. And if you have questions, we're easy to reach out to. Undergroundstrengthcoach at Gmail is my email. You could Google Paul Kolody, find his email through 100 Central. We did reach out to this journalist the day of this article through X, which used to be Twitter. He has not responded. We'll send an email, but we'd love to discuss with him and feel bad for coaches nowadays because this is not the first coach I've seen either fired or stepped down because they have a high standard and things are tough and challenging. Sports are tough and challenging. When we look at the teams that win the most, they're putting in the work and they're accepting these challenges. They're not, getting kind of crushed by these obstacles. And again, like how will you take this and apply it to life when things get hard? You fire people or because you have to do extra work. I mean, that's like telling the teachers in the school, listen, stop doing extra work. Just come back the same next year. Be mediocre. No, you want teachers and coaches to be the best. It's simple. We draw a line down a sheet of paper. What is best for the athlete? What is not best? Do what is best. So I like what
love
I
it.
see. Coach Cleary trying to advocate for the kids. Breaks our heart to see him getting fired because of that. And we'll be at the New Jersey Athletic Directors State Conference and we'll be saying the same thing to them. And unfortunately, not everybody will agree, which is crazy. It really is certifiably crazy, but I could go on and on about that. That's all we got. Leave a comment below or reach out to us through email.
Take care, everybody. Have a good holiday.
All right, we'll talk to everybody soon.